was your sadness hiatus?
Sad?
I imagine.
It was, this week I just did whatever I felt like doing. If that, how do I say this? Okay, so in addition to having to put Coco down, I also had on last Friday was my very last day teaching at AKT because they have gone out of business, the franchise here. So there was like 2 big changes in 24 hours, 48 hours ish. And so like, instead of waking up on Sunday morning like I normally would to go teach my class and all my early mornings this week, I just said, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to wake up when I feel like it. And if I feel like moving my body this week, I'm going to do that. And if I feel like stopping on my way home for a salad for lunch, I'm going to do that. So it was just very much like a week of yes. And if it feels good and if it feels right, I'm going to do it. And if it doesn't, I'm not. And
well, you had to take it because, you had that dog for, in dog years, 50 years, and in human years, what, almost 20 years?
Oh, she was quite old. She was 16, so.
Yeah, that's almost 20 years. So not just any old change, and this is something that we non-dog owners don't really think about, I guess. There's like a fucking quiet and emptiness in your house, like I imagine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I look for her, and it's the first thing that I think of because because she was very old, she also was incontinent, and she was also always cold, and so I'm looking for her when I wake up in the middle of the night to make sure she's still in bed. Does she wake up? Does she need to go out? Instead of scooping 2 bowls of dog food, you're scooping 1. Instead of, letting 2 dogs out, you're just calling for the 1. Like last night I asked Quinn, I was like, hey, can you feed Louie and Coco? And I was like, ugh. Or like when I leave for work, I put them in their crates. And so, I would always call her because she was older, she got treated as the alpha. And so she was always the first one that I would put away. And so I, called for her, and then I was like, oh, so there's little things like that it's weird. It's, and her little tip tapping toenails coming down the hallways. And
that's the first thing I thought of. That is, when I say there's a quiet, I literally was like, oh my God, there's probably like a sound that you're used to, and it probably is like an alarm clock. It's kind of like you're so used to it. It's biological to you now that you'll hear, and you know what to expect. I've never had a pet, so I wouldn't know the half of it, but I imagine the quiet is unexpected, even though you try to prepare as much as you can for this inevitable time, even though you had a long time to prepare for it because she wasn't well for a minute, but like still. Okay, why am I getting misty?
Oh no, it's just it becomes part of your daily fabric, and then all of a sudden, like something that you didn't really think twice about is now you're expecting it. Like Chris was saying that our bedroom door, as people that have been listening to this podcast from the beginning, when I was still recording in the bedroom, you could always hear it squeak when it opens. And so at night we would go to bed, and Louie would always come with us right away and sleep in our bed. But Coco likes to sleep in her little dog bed in our room near the space heater. And so sometimes she wouldn't come with us right away. And maybe like half an hour after we were in bed, I could hear her tick, 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 and then the door would squeak open and she'd come in and she'd find her little spot and she'd, spin and lay down. And so he was like, every time the door squeaks, I look for her because I think that she's coming in. It's just, it's sad. But she, the decline, it was one of those things where last Friday morning, I made the dogs scrambled eggs and I mixed it in with their food because we were still trying to get Louie's appetite back up after his hospitalization and he was still kind of being finicky. So they were getting special meals every day and I put it down and she didn't even get up from her spot on the rug. And she's my dog that like eats garbage. Just 2 weeks ago, I had to fish chewing gum out of her mouth because one of the children had spit chewing gum out in the landscaping and they took her for a walk and she sniffed it out and found it and came in like chewing gum. So she eats garbage. For her to deny a meal was just, I've never known her not to eat ever. She'll eat her food. She'll eat Louie's food and then she'll come and beg for food at the table. So when she didn't get up to come eat, I was like, oof. And I just randomly emailed the home hospice people because you can have a vet come to your house and, put your dog down in your house and you don't have to take them anywhere and all that kind of stuff. And so I'd always thought like if I have the opportunity, that's how I would like to put the dogs down at their time because I think that that's, the most gentle and loving way. And then it's not traumatic for the children, what have you. So I just reached out and I said, hey, can you come to an evaluation and let me know? Because I see things happening, but like she's still acting, pretty much like herself without all of these other like senior things that have come up. And then we had a really bad night Friday night and she still wasn't eating. She was vomiting constantly. She couldn't stand upright. She was walking crooked. And so when I talked to the lady on Saturday, we had set up an appointment for Sunday morning to do the evaluation. And then if the evaluation proved that, she needed to be put down, then they would send a nurse back at another time that day and take care of her. But by like 3:00 on Saturday, it was apparent that it was cruel to make her wait until the morning because she had a couple more episodes. So I called them back and they were like, well, we don't have anybody available today, but here are 2 other companies that can, maybe help you. So luckily one of them had a doctor available. But it was one of those things like we had just sat down with the kids and said, hey, here's what's happening tomorrow. We want you to be prepared. You can choose how you want to participate or not. And so it went from like, this is happening tomorrow to she's coming at 5 and it's happening this afternoon. And so it was just, you're managing your emotions, you're managing the emotions of the children. And
I mean, it felt abrupt even though we knew it was time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just happened so fast. But I will say, the first dog that we had to put down, he had a heart condition and it was one of those instances where it was like Saturday night at 11:00 and I looked at Chris and I was like, he's making like weird breathing noises. Like it sounds like he's struggling. And so we kind of watched him for maybe an hour and I was like, I think he needs to go to the emergency vet. So Chris took him and, not 45 minutes later do I get a call and they're like, you need to put him down. He's like drowning. His lungs are filling with fluid. And I was like, oh, fuck. So that for me was horrible because he like left my house and then never came back. And I felt like I didn't have the appropriate time to like say goodbye and pet him and give him love and, everything that you hope you can do before you have to say goodbye to an animal. And so I always thought like, if I have to do it again, I want to do it where someone comes to my house and it can be like just very gentle and loving and, comfortable. And so I cleaned, she always hung out in our front room. So I vacuumed the rug, I dusted, I cleaned the floors. I smudged the space. I lit a candle. I had on soft music and, Chris was able to hold her and the kids were able to pet her and, love on her and talk to her. And it's a 2-part process. So they give them medicine to like relax them and calm them down and just make them very sleepy, very drowsy. And then she has to wait about 5 minutes, and then they administer the next medication, and then she waits, and then she, took her little stethoscope out and, confirmed that she had passed. And we chose to take care of the body on our own. So we had dug a spot for her in the backyard underneath a river birch that we had. And, everybody was allowed to like process it in their own way. And after she left, we had laid her down on the floor, and the kids could lay next to her and kiss her and snuggle her.
I need a sec. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize.
It was just really lovely. And that sounds weird to say, but like,
no, it really was.
We were able to hold her and kiss her and talk to her.
Making a safe space. Like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. Oh, I am so sorry.
No, it's okay. It was it was the most loving way to say goodbye to somebody, a family member, somebody that's been with us, for a long time. And and to let the kids experience that. A lot of my anxiety is around death and dying. And so it felt like a huge parenting moment for me to be able to like be with my kids in that moment and talk to them about that and let them experience it in a gentle and loving way, so that hopefully, they're not afraid of it. So anyways.
It was really, really kind. And you put your kids first you put the animal first doing that. I was not prepared. Like, I knew we were gonna have to touch on it, and I had actually spent our time off kind of trying to think about how to maintain a level of like healthy conversation about it at the same time as not wanting to pry inside of your, process of dealing with the loss of your dog, because I understand it's a family member. And like, I was like, be careful and mindful that you don't try to like contentify this thing that happened to their family, which is why I thought it was important for us to take the time off.
Yeah.
And so I'm like imagining myself fucking this up entirely.
No. I mean, when we were talking last week, I was like, the grief and the feelings and the things that we're going through right now are not content to be monetized. However, I was thinking today, I thought, because we have so many animal lovers that listen to the show, and I feel like talking about it is maybe helpful, because I would have never known. I had a friend who had the home services come to her for her senior dog, and I carry a lot of sadness about not having been with Vinny when we had to put him down, and when we put our family dog down in 2015, it was the dog that my parents had. I was able to be with him, but he was at the vet, and it was just me in there, and that was incredibly sad. And so I always felt like you wonder when is the right time, and you wonder how long to let a pet go. And it's one of those situations where, had she not stopped eating, I probably would have just let her carry on. But the fact that she was so visibly uncomfortable, it felt really selfish. But at the same time, you hold out that hope. You're like, well, maybe this is just like, a weird stomach bug. Maybe she's just vomiting because she's old, and that's just part of her being old. I've never had a 16-year-old dog before. And so it feels gross to have to think about it, and it feels gross to have to, call and talk to somebody on the phone about it. And I think the hardest part really of it, all of it, was she hated going outside. She hated it. She hated going outside.
Love that for her.
So
what a friend.
We we obviously buried her out back, and I was like, oh, she would be so pissed to find out that she had to be buried outside in the backyard because she hated going outside. And so the hardest part was having to put her in the ground and then leave her there. And even though I know, it's just her body, I think that was when it really hit me. Was I felt so bad that I had to leave her there. And I actually had a dream this week where I went to the back door in the sunroom, because that's where we let them out, and she was sitting on the steps staring at me like, you fucking bitch. I can't believe
oh no,
you had to leave me outside. So anyways, we're gonna plant something, over top of where we buried her. And I felt like it was, important to have a place where the kids, could, if they wanted to go out and, visit and say hi, they could. But I felt so bad having to put her outside, because I was like, oh, sorry.
But she's outside at home.
Yeah.
You didn't send her to some clinic where she was put in a box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've heard
she
about
had her
these
little
things.
sweater.
I have only heard from my friends who've had to deal with this, all of the terrible ways in which it's going to be. But I am always moved by y'all be putting them in their blanket, y'all be holding them and putting yourselves through absolute hell and horror to do the right thing by the animal. And I'd be like, go dog owner. Because that is another layer of,
so hard
pain. But you had all the years, and she had a great life. And you gave her a great life, and you sent her off in such a beautiful and peaceful way. That was the right and nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Girl, I was not, as this was happening in your household, say we had a drone flying over both our households, just watching us, the Beck family has also been surviving a loss of something that was such a normal everyday piece of our life. And I'm trying to look at it as the closing of one door and the opening of another, Yeah.
Really
trying to be positive about it. So our little hiatus couldn't have come at a better time, because I really wasn't in the space to share,
joke around on the internet.
Yeah, I wasn't, because I was like, fuck, I'm really worried about us. But also because it is the closing of one door and the opening of another, I gotta stay positive, because this positivity is gonna feed us, basically.
Yeah.
Now we're at a place where professionally we're gonna have to take some risks that I am not prepared to take, but I also feel like part of being married to a right brain creative person is letting them cook, even if you ultimately know that, I mean, it's only two outcomes. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to come out of this fucking straight as fuck, or there's going to be some hard times ahead.
I think it's hard too, to make that shift as you get older, because it's been such a constant, in your life since you've known him. So
Yep.
it's a huge life shift, a huge, change. And so
a huge change also, because like when I think about my part in this beautiful 20 plus year old business, like,
yeah.
so many years of that business were built during a time where I had to be, both a cheerleader and a self-sufficient person over here, because with the kind of dude that he is, you got to just watch him run out the door and go do his thing, and kind of that requires a self-sufficiency on the partner's part.
Yeah.
And so, like, a part of me feels like my invisible labor in that is now also different, because we're seeing each other a whole lot more. Times have changed. The pandemic made it, both scarier, but then also did prepare us for this door to close.
Yeah.
Seeing him more, and now he knows his kids' teachers' names, and there's family time that we've gained out of this change. But, it's also really fucking scary.
Right. Yeah.
And just weird, like, it was like a little punk rock engine that could until it couldn't, and so it really is all that. I can't believe, fuck, I'm just like, it was just such a good thing. And like, I'm like, I constantly like being like, you have to be so proud of yourself. People don't build businesses that are successful for 23 whole years, and you did that,
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
You're a fucking baby, and now you're a baby, and you fucking changed people's lives, like he really did. There are fucking people that have whole entire families, and how like he employed a lot of people for 2 decades, and that I'm like, that alone is so great. Like, it's not a fucking bad thing, people do it all the time. Businesses come and go. I'm just like sad because it was our everyday,
Right.
And I hate it.
Well, and the work that you put in to your family allowed him to do what he needed to do. And in this new season, you'll continue to do the same thing. And I think that, he already knows, the work that it's going to take, and he's obviously not afraid of that. And
he's not. And that's the part I'm nervous about. He has a level of ambition and fearlessness going into his next, professional endeavor, and I'm like really fucking excited for him, but I'm also like really scared. But as the wife of a creative person, you can't like express fear like that, because they internalize it as naysaying or discouragement, and that's not in any way what I mean. I just mean, being poor is a bridge too far, motherfucker, so maybe we should slow down, but you can't say that shit.
The stakes are different now, because it's not just Justin Beck, it's not just Melissa Beck, it's now 3 Tiny Becks.
Yep.
that are also involved in
Right.
this. So yeah, I mean, anytime you make a huge shift to how you earn your livelihood, and especially when you're the sole provider,
Yeah,
I
and
think
that's like,
it's normal to feel the way you're feeling.
and that's like, they have all these podcasts that entrepreneurs and people who build businesses and people who build tech and whatever, they have all of these podcasts for these people to, like, understand people's mindsets and understand people's business philosophies, and understands, mistakes that, a new a business endeavor can avoid, and this and that and the other. And I'm thinking to myself, why come they never have the founder's fucking person talk about,
On the other side of it, that would be really interesting.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I want to talk to Jeff Bezos' wife before all the shit. You know what I mean? Like, what was she doing when he
Yeah.
was in the garage wearing knee pads doing book orders? I mean, I'm sure she was in there too, but like,
Well, whatever she was doing did not work out.
it did though, because she's still also a billionaire. But like, there's a different kind of fortitude and mental you got to have as a serial entrepreneur's wife
Oh,
that people don't talk about.
totally.
And like, obviously, I can't sit up here and be like, I'm sad. These are fucking great problems to have. You sold your business and now you're going to start a new one. That's a great problem to
Yeah.
have. It's just also
Yeah.
a scary one to have. And like, it's a lot of emotional labor to like be supportive, but also suppress your own inside nervousness. I am good with life. I am good with love. I don't really fuck with loss. I don't. Not
I
into
hate
it.
change. I
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, scared. I guess that's
Yeah, of course.
I guess that's the word.
Of course.
But my husband's not. My husband is like, honestly, I've never seen him more fucking exuberant about life. And I'm like, is this like your coping mechanism? Like, have you already mourned the loss? Like, have you already just been, putting your mind together? And maybe that's how an entrepreneur brain has to work. Like, they can't, get bogged down in the, the closing of doors. They just got to keep, opening windows. And I get that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure that this opportunity is allowing him to use his brain in a way that maybe he hasn't used in the last 23 years.
Yeah.
It's a brand new creative endeavor. So there are so many things that he has to be on top of as he's building it. And it's exciting, the creation of and that anticipation of, the implementation of all of these things that he's doing. So I'm sure there's got to be, a piece of that there. And it's, I'm excited for you, but I also understand. I mean, we went through something on a smaller scale back in 2017 with Chris, and I was very nervous because he left a job and he was just like, I'm going to take a hiatus and I'm just going to like talk to people and see what's out there. I was like, okay.
And you're like, okay, what about this fridge though?
And he had been with the same company for ages. And then just kind of like moved his way up the ladder and was like now seeing that the ship was sinking where he was. And he was like, I'm not going to hang around for this. It's not going well. So I'm just going to jump out now while I can. And, he figured it out and made it work. And, meetings with people that he knew turned into, the job that he got. But in the meantime, I was just like, so you're not applying for jobs. You're just going to go have coffees with people, and see what happens. And then he was talking to like startups, and there were talks of like, you're not going to get paid, but if we sell and go, go public, this is a huge payout. And I was like, okay.
See, yeah, and I'm sorry, my little brain, and that's where I'm at. I'm like, hold on, so we gonna put this much money into that, and then when we getting it back? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
you like, we're gonna go public in like 5 years and 7 years, or like,
right?
you know, in
But then
my mind, I'm like, maybe just get like a regular job.
yeah, but then you think about the people that cashed out at Apple, and you're like, look, they're straight.
Yeah,
The little lady that was doing, the fucking accounting that day, she went from, a nobody to somebody overnight because, she took that chance. And so I have to just be, supportive and
yep,
accepting of these risks. And, my whole thing is I just need, I want to live here. I want my kids to go to the schools that they're in until they're finished with school. And so, what if Shira's 7? I'm looking at things in a 10-year block.
yeah,
And in that 10 years, there's going to be some valleys. I'm certain there will be some valleys. But, there might be some fucking mountaintops that we could be screaming off the top of. I just got to fucking stay positive. I said my whole new thing is positive mental attitude, but you got to add sick fortitude. You got to add fortitude on top. You just got to.
yes.
Health is wealth. Mental health is wealth.
So you're still committed to the gym?
Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact,
Is it helping you, do you think?
I'm about to eat some proteins, Some proteins and some, I don't understand why cheese is so bad. Like, why do we treat cheese like it's such a bad fucking thing?
I love cheese.
Cheese is outrageous. Yeah, I'm still, Justin's back in the gym with me. We're doing great.
Awesome.
I haven't caught COVID yet, which is crazy. Well, I'm definitely incubating right now. I just know that I am because I went to a dance party with Irulan the other day.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Irulan and her husband and my husband have become very friendly, and like, Justin likes to bounce ideas off of other dudes. Her husband's a lawyer, and, he's asked him some questions about some shit, whatever. While we're at dinner together, I hadn't seen her. Like, Irulan's one of my friends where, like, we won't see each other for 6 months, 8 months. And then we'll see each other, and it's like we never not saw each other.
Mm-hmm.
So,
those are the best.
At this dinner, I don't know how it came up, and she was like, do you want to come to a dance party? And I was like, yes. And then I was like, wait, do I? She goes, no, you don't understand. It's really awesome. It's all 90s R&B. Fucking, It's a night. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, it's just, you have to come, go here are the tickets, da-da-da. And I was, I paid my little $20. And it really was an old school ass dance party. It's the longest running old school R&B hip hop dance party. They happen on the first Friday of every month in Manhattan. It's a DJ named Herbert Holler. If you listen into this, Herbert Holler, you did that shit. And you know what? I said, because I did have some concerns, because I have not been, like when I was going to see Glassjaw, I wear a mask, I'm in the back, or I'm up I'm elevated up above in the not crowd in my mask.
Right.
So, when someone's asking you to hang out and do like a girls' night, you can't do girls' night with no mask on, and don't nobody got a mask on. So I'm like doing all like the COVID math in my brain of like how I'm going to get here, how I'm going to get emotionally in that space where I'm in a crowd without my mask on. Because I haven't done that yet. You know what I mean? I've gone out, I've done things. Like the craziest thing I do is 4 days a week I'm up in the gym with no mask, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? People are huffing and puffing. It's particles in there. So Melissa, it's enough with the mask. Unfortunately, I still think that masks are important, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't want your fucking kids coughing on my kids. You know, I don't want to be on an airplane without a mask on. But if I'm already committed to going to the gym and I don't have a mask on, like, it's time for me to start opening up and living a little and then accepting the consequences of that living. So I was like, is it worth possibly getting COVID to do a 90s R&B dance party? Which is crazy because everyone's normal answer is no. That would not be worth it because COVID could kill you 100%. But I got these antibodies. I got this vaccine. And I'm going to do it. I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. He's like, you sure? He's like, because you can't be that girl in the group that's talking about COVID and shit. Like, he's like, you got to fucking... So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. The day of the party comes. And she was like, we're going to take the train, da-da-da. And I go, I'm going to stop you right there. And she's like, well, do you want to meet at my house and then we'll get to the train? Da, da, da. I was like, okay, Erlon.
You were like, you just said train twice. That's the train that's the problem.
And I'm thinking to myself, girl, like, we've been friends since... So we met in the Trader Joe's, 2014? We met at the Trader Joe's at the top of 2015. I'm like, girl, we've been in this game together 8-9 years now. You have not figured out yet that he be driving Miss Daisy. So the day of it comes and I text her and I go, I'm going to pick you up and your girlfriend's up and then we gonna get to the spot. And she's like, okay. And then, we'll figure out, taking the train home. And I go, okay, this girl, I mean, she's a city person. Train ain't no shit to her. You know what I mean? She'd be on the train. I was like, okay.
Oh my God.
She's like, I said, no, we're not. She's like, well, what do you mean? She's like, is Justin coming in? I go, what does that have to do with anything? She was like, well, he's going to take us home? I go, yes. She goes, but where's he going to go while we're inside the dance party? And I said, that is not our concern. What are you saying? And she goes, wait, he's going to pick us up, go wherever, and then be there when we come out? And I go, right. And she goes, okay. And so then he drops us off. She goes, we got to go to coat check. And I said, coat check? I said, Justin Beck's right here. She said, you want to leave your coat here? And I was like, well, I can't be cold not 1 minute. So we're either getting in and going straight to the dance floor and then coming out and going straight to the car. What do you mean? She's like, yeah, I think we should bring our coats just in case. Like, what if we have to wait for him? And I was like, okay. And so her girlfriend's in the car with us, and her girlfriend's like, I really need to know. She's like, I know you just met Melissa, but I need to know what I've done wrong. Okay? I said, what do you mean? She's like,
why doesn't she have a Justin Beck in her life?
She was like, your fucking husband is taking us. She's like, we're pre-gaming in the car right now. Like, Ireland brought a bottle of wine. We had solo cups. My wine had ice in it because I like to do mine a little, country with it. Yeah. So I was drinking my red wine with my ice. I had a straw. We were sitting in New York traffic. We might as well be pre-gaming because I'm also not going to go inside there and wait in line at the bar. I would like to have my drink now so I can get in there and just start dancing, Yeah,
yeah.
Justin ended up going to see some death metal band, and then he also saw, I think it was a band of like 15-year-old girls doing like thrash, rock, whatever. So he like filmed some of it, and then I'm in a group text with him and Shalom, and he's like, Shalom, this could be you if you gave a shit, if you really had, if you stuck to something, if you picked up that guitar, I bought you. And Shalom's like, yeah, that could be me, but it's not. I can see why she was salty though, because she was also babysitting. Yeah, I'm not there.
Oh, so. yeah. Watching your kids.
Yep. Anyway, we get into the dance party, and the first song is The Fucking Boys. I'm gonna talk about your baby. So, Boys Dial My Heart.
Was it all people our age?
Girl, it was all old people. Everyone in there's back hurt for show, which was awesome.
Oh, it sounds so fun.
I got to dress, like, I wore a 90s black bodysuit little gold hoops. I had the nerve to put heels on.
Cute.
And, you know, I was just in my fly girl essence, very excited. And it was just only the hits, to be real with you. It was only
oh my gosh,
the fucking hits. And I mean, it really was, when I say restorative, when I say, like, you know what it's like.
That's fucking joyful.
When you put on a song that you really fucking like at the height of, like, at a time in your life when shit was either going real fucked up or you were on and up. Like, it's amazing the power of music. But the power of music in community, that was some different shit. It was all people our age. It was everybody, like, everybody in there definitely, you know, life has happened. You know, like, we were in there together. This was our time, God damn it. It really did feel like stepping in a time machine. That's really what it felt like. Because the songs it was just crazy. It was crazy. And, you know, people were like, you know, late 30s, all the 40s, 50 even in this bitch. And it was like, people were dressed, honey, dressed. I met a lovely lady. You know, there were a couple times where in my mind I was like, oh my God, I'm literally eating COVID. This is crazy. So, like, I couldn't stay present a lot of the time. It was like, this is a lot of COVID. Melissa, you made this choice. You have to just stick here. Don't fucking be a downer. Don't bring up COVID. Don't say COVID. Because Irulan invited me into her group of friends who were all very lovely, and, you know, everybody was dancing and excited. So every night, and Irulan was also like, stay close. I know you have your things, but, you know, when you go, just tap me. Let me know where you went. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yes, of course. So, like, I would beeline to the little corner of the bar, hydrate, come back. Beeline to the little corner of the bar, hydrate, come back. So, you know, I figured out my own little process. And at one point, I went to, like, the bathroom area, and I met just this lovely lady, and her name was Jennifer. And I was like, not Jennifer. I was like, were you born in the 70s, Jennifer? She was like, yes. I was like, okay, because I'm a Melissa. So now I'm making friends with motherfuckers.
Wow.
And it was just me and this Jennifer lady. And then I also met a girl named Anna, who was really nice. Anna's in human resources. We were just all three talking about how joyful this place was. And I'm in the mid-conversation with Anna about human resources, and boom, 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 dum, dum. I was like, hold on a second. I knew they are not about to put my motherfucking song on. I have to go right now! But it was so crowded in there, even if I tried to get back onto the dance floor and back my ass up, I couldn't. So I just was on the outskirts of the dance floor, backing my ass up. But it was really wonderful. And I'm already, look, I'm about to slide in Herbert Holler's DMs and be like, look, I want to come to your party again, for show, but I'm gonna need early access to them VIP tickets, because I need, like, a cheese tray. You know what I mean? I need bottle service. I need a couch right quick. I need an open door
sounds like
nearby.
So much fun.
It was really so much fun. It was very 90s, and it was so much fun. And then we came out. Justin Beck was waiting ever so diligently. What a lovely husband. Everybody was like, man. What was crazy about it is, like, throughout the night, every time I'd meet another new friend of hers, they'd be like, Melissa, are you the Melissa? They're like, wait, your husband's outside? I was like, they're like, wow. Wow, we heard about you. I'm like, really? Aww. I'm like, is it really that strange? And they're like, yes, Melissa.
Yeah.
Nobody's husband is doing that. And I was like, well, then, y'all should have chose better. I mean, it wasn't, I had to do things. Come on now. Nothing in life is free. You know what I'm saying? But it was really very wonderful. And it felt like just a really very New York night, because then Justin pulled over and we got a little dollar pizza slice. It was just,
oh yes, I love those, like the end of the night where you stop at the place that's still open and you get the food to go home, or you eat it in the car. Oh
yes,
I'm so jealous.
Yes. And then, you know, you get home, you send your text, did you get home okay? Yes. You get in your shower, you hydrate, you moisturize, you know, you have a dick poking in your back and okay, since you did drive. And it's just, you know, it was a really lovely, perfect night. And like, we felt young again and not like we're in a very crazy professional doom. It was great.
I'm glad you went. I'm glad you said yes. I'm glad that you had that experience because I bet that was just it. I think, I do the same thing with COVID and going into the yoga studio now. I'm like, you know what, Amanda, it's okay to go into Target because you are literally breathing in everybody else's spittle for 60 minutes.
Yep.
Every time you go to yoga. So Target's probably a better scenario. So it's okay. But,
dude, I've started to figure out. Listen, I've started to figure, because this is the other thing. At some point, I have to say to myself, Melissa, is this now your dedication to this mask? Is this now hygiene theater?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like at some point, you have to accept your own hypocrisy, or you have to look at it as you've moved on. And that's okay. I feel guilty about the moving on because of how fucking insane I was at the top. But I was rightfully insane. I was still wearing masks inside all the... Like, I still wear a mask in the CVS. That's where sick people go.
Mm-hmm.
But Justin Beck doesn't wear a mask in Target. And me and the 3 kids are trailing behind him, and you know, in our masks, and we look crazy.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of picking and choosing, and then having that internal conversation with yourself that you're not a piece of shit because you chose not to wear your mask. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, motherfuckers that should be in masks don't be in masks. Not that that makes it okay for me. I'm just saying.
Are you talking about my dad? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm talking about immune compromised motherfuckers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely a wild place to be, and I've let the kids go back without them.
Mm-hmm.
Bennett is still my holdout. He doesn't want to get rid of it, and I'm like, you know what? Fine. I said, you're okay to go without it, but if you don't want to go without it, then it's okay.
Girl, I had
he's
Maja.
The last holdout.
Maja was too, until she had to get glasses, and she discovered the nightmare of glasses with mask.
Yep.
Well, she was like, I think I'm just going to have to get COVID, Mommy. I was like,
yeah.
Because foggy glasses is a lot, right? And she was like, yeah. And she was understanding, like, I was like, girl, I'm 3 years in the game with glasses and a mask. Imagine me.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, that's crazy. So, it's fine. You can throw your tomatoes and send your hate mail to askimperfectstrangers@gmail.com. You know, because I'm at the gym. I'm at the club. Bamch, bamch. Bamch, bamch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all the way back to living life.
Yeah. It had to happen at some point, I think.
It had to happen. I'm here now.
We had a good run.
Listen. Nobody's going to be able to take that away from me. Matter of fact, you know, I think about this new place that I am in my, and I also, I'm not saying that anything is ever like before. Nothing's going to be ever, before is gone. We're never going to get that back. I don't think I'm reliving a not so distant past and things are back to normal. They're not. Mm-mm. They're not. I think that I just have to keep scamming boosters and got to navigate this new normal. This new Melissa who doesn't have COVID at the forefront of her mind at all times.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'm allowed that. I'm allowed to live a little.
Well, you're allowed to live. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to make different choices.
Yeah, and I think that's the part I'm having, because my Enneagram 1 is really like, girl, you talked all,
Yeah.
what a hypocrite. What an injustice that you've done to all of the people that you terrorized about COVID. You know, like, that's how it's feeling for me. But I also know that. I also know that back then I wouldn't have been able to, have a subtle middle ground about the shit. I had to go all out with it. I had to be like, you're killing people, you piece of shit, with your haircuts, I did, though, and I stand by that shit still, though. Y'all motherfuckers was. That was true. Before the vaccine, y'all was fucking up.
I feel like it was very different. I think that it was, there were so many questions that we had. We weren't 100% on how it spread. We weren't 100% on, and on any of it. And it changed every single day. The information was constantly changing. And so it felt like there was no right way to move that I could look at it and say, okay, well, if I do X, Y, and Z, I'll be okay.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No. Go ahead.
You know what information is always changing? Now that we're here. So then, you left the monarchy, right?
Oh, I'm so happy.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to understand.
Hello out there in the Imperfect Strangers podcast universe. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for your support. If you want more imperfect strangers in your life, make sure that you are subscribing to the show wherever you listen to podcasts, except for Spotify. We're sorry about that, but we just did not like being over there given some of the stuff that happened with it in the last year. So sorry, Spotify users, but there are tons of other places where you can listen to the show, and you can find links to those from our website and also from our social media, specifically Instagram. You can find us on Instagram at imperfectstrangers_podcast, on Twitter at imperfstrangers. We've recently joined TikTok. We're too old to be doing this, but there we are. You can find us on TikTok at Imperfect Strangers Pod. Give us a follow. You'll find new episodes of this show every Friday, so make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss out. And then make sure to join us on Mondays on Instagram for a very special Monday Night Live where we talk about the episode, we answer your questions, and we always go off topic. So miss a live, miss a lot. And if you need even more imperfect strangers in your life, because I know that some of you are just like, give me more content. And we're like, okay, come join our Patreon, patreon.com/imperfect strangers. We have extra episodes, so you can get not one, but 2 episodes a week over there at our actual friends tier. We have strangers with benefits. They get access to Monday Night Lives. So if you miss a live on a Monday, you can always catch up over there on Patreon. We are working our little behinds off to give you early and ad-free content. So if you want to get the episode before everybody else gets it on Friday, you can do that through our Patreon as well. We have a private Discord, so go over there, check out the website, patreon.com/imperfect strangers to see what else is there. We also have brand new merch. You can find that linked in our Instagram bio. We're releasing seasonal capsules now. So right now we have all kinds of apparel. We have a sticker, we have a mug. So if you want to represent your second favorite podcast on your body or in your little hand, you can do so by buying our merch. And thank you for supporting us. We will see you next Friday with a brand new episode. Bye.